Recording in progress.
What's going on, Nerd Nation? It's your boy Chris, joined as always by my guy Miles. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's up, Chris? Glad to be back, man.
Yes, sir. It feels like we haven't done this in a really long time. We took last week off doing some holiday festivities, if you will. But we're back, going with a new format tonight. Let me switching it up a little bit, try to get some more debate in here, a little less of the updates. You guys got a lot of other places you can get that, but right here is where you can only get these one of a kind basketball, football debates among friends. So that's what we're going for. First off, I got to do the, normal stuff. Tell you about the giveaway that we're doing. It's still going on. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. All you got to do to be on the giveaway is subscribe and comment on our video, the one titled giveaway. Put your Instagram username just so we can get a hold of you, know where to send this Ricky Williams signed jersey to. So hop in on that, subscribe. You know the other stuff. Follow on Instagram, TikTok at Average Sport or AVG Sports Nerds. Sorry. And then last thing, of course, like this video if you're watching live right now. Don't be a ninja watcher. Smiles got me hip to a few weeks
Hey,
back.
I like it.
All right, so from there, we can get right into it. We're going to keep this segment, though, our 301 Fantasy League update. It's been going rough for me and Miles these last couple weeks if you've been following along with us. But this week, I think I might turn it around in another disgusting game. I'm playing against Alex, who it's been going rough for him, too. The current score, well, it was 60-39. It's now 70-39 just because the Baltimore Ravens defense just started. But that goes to show how bad this game's been. We only both have Terry McLaurin and Tyler Lockett left. He has McLaurin, I have Lockett. So I think I'm going to win, but 70 points is gross.
Yeah, hey, that's a rough week, man. But it's all good. Fantasy football is all about the ups and downs. So
Got to ride the wave, man.
exactly. Yeah, just a little update from my team. I'm actually doing fantastic this week. Going against one of our good friends. Obviously, if you saw the Buccaneers game, Leonard Fournette had a day today. Luckily, he was on my team, and with his performance, I was confident that he would carry me through this week. So I'm still in the mix in our league. I'm tied for last, but after this week, there's going to be a lot of change ups and ready to get back in the mix. And I'm gonna surprise some people. Don't let me get in the playoffs. I'm surprising people.
Definitely. I mean, we were going to have this a little later, but we might as well say it now because Leonard Fournette has got to be the fantasy player of the day today. 4 touchdowns, 100 rushing yards. He was great. He had more fantasy points, at least in our scoring format, than any other quarterback, running back, receiver, anything. So if you had him like Miles, he probably won today. So shout out to you guys. And like you said, you're gonna be 5-7, I think, right? And then I'll be 7-5.
Yes.
So I'm in a little bit better spot, but 5-7, especially in this league, anything can happen, man.
Hey, exactly. I'm putting myself right back in the mix.
2 more wins, 500.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, from there, we can move on, get into our big debate of the day. First one, really, we're getting into. And we were having this conversation a little bit on Facebook earlier this morning. And the way I'm going to phrase the question, and we could just get into it a little bit and talk about efficiency and all that good stuff, but do you think Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady are overrated?
I mean, that's such a hard question to answer because obviously they were individually incredible players. Both of them, both were scoring assassins, if you will. I mean, that was the core of their game, was to score. And obviously, a lot of people love to talk about Kevin Durant, for example, today. He's the most efficient scorer of all time. And of course, some of the stats are definitely credible and kind of back up that statement. But I always like to look at scoring as that because I think that volume plus efficiency gives the best score. And I don't know, AI and T-Mac were great volume shooters, but as far as efficiency, I mean, they were a little low. I mean, but for as much as they shot, I mean, it's pretty impressive that they were able to do that. But there's still been players that have been able to shoot closer to 50%. Perimeter players, I'm mostly talking about. Obviously, big men could shoot 60, 70% for a given season, which is I don't usually mind that. But as far as just the perimeter players, the players that are kind of can do everything on the court, I mean, 43%, which is around what Allen Iverson shot for his career. I mean, you can call it what it is. I mean, it's inefficient. And as far as Allen Iverson's team success, he has some great years in the league individually, but his teams got his team to the finals one year. Salute him to that. Give him all the credit in the world. He ran up against a juggernaut team in the Lakers that year. So he did what he could. But beyond that, I mean, he was on some great teams, and I don't know. I feel like his level of talent and the production of the team just didn't add up. Similar to how Westbrook is, in my opinion, nowadays. Westbrook's value individually is, I mean, it's hard to deny it, but I mean his team success. I mean, I think it all kind of ties in, especially if they have the ball in their hands a lot, shooting a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, it's really interesting for me because I came into this thinking like, there's no way these guys are overrated. Like, I watched them play. These were some of my favorite players growing up. Like, if anything, they're probably underrated. But I'm looking at the stats here, and just some of the guys that they're ranked around. We'll start with that. I looked up ESPN, the top 74. I guess this was the last time they ranked players of all time. Allen Iverson was ranked 29. Some of the guys he was right behind: John Stockton was 28, Giannis 27, Dwayne Wade 26, Kawhi Leonard 25. Which some of these in the order I don't necessarily agree with, but just I don't know. And then a couple other wing players I had on here. Scottie Pippen was 21, Jerry West 16. So I mean, just looking at those guys, it would be kind of hard for me to move AI above them. So I mean, I don't necessarily think he's like underrated, but then we can go to the other side of it and look at the guys behind him, like Steve Nash is number 30, Isaiah Thomas 31, which that right there, I don't know, these lists, man. But James Harden 32, Havlicek 33, Jason Kidd 35, Walt Frazier 39, Chris Paul 40. And that's the question to me now is he actually overrated? Because I think I'll have to take like Isaiah Thomas, for example, over AI just based on, the 2 championships, what he did in some of those playoff runs, which, I mean, AI had great moments and everything too, and it's not always about championships, but we know the type of player Isaiah Thomas was. Outside of that, though, I think AI might just be properly rated here. We got, like, I think I would take him ahead of Steve Nash, just completely different game styles, so that one's kind of preference. But, like, James Harden, I think I'd take AI. I don't know. What do you think about some of those names?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's hard to kind of move him over any of these other players, like you mentioned, Stockton, Giannis, Wade. I mean, because these were all these players are a little bit bigger. Obviously, the bigger you are in basketball. Let's just be real. The easier the game is, just ever so slightly. Not saying that you don't need skill, but it's a wash. Like players like Chris Paul, Isaiah Thomas. I mean, it's hard because they were all better at different things. I'm not going to say Chris Paul is a scorer, Allen Iverson was, but I'm not going to say that Allen Iverson was the floor general Chris Paul was, and how he affected his teammates. Because that's the thing I think about volume scorers. If you are going to be such a volume scorer, I mean, you better make sure you're efficient, because I mean, the less you get your teammates involved, just the slightly worse your team chemistry will be. In my opinion, of course, you can find situations where that doesn't apply, but I mean, I think for the most part, the team chemistry, basketball is a team game. First, I mean, we all know that, and you can be great individually, you can be a great scorer, but I mean, you still have to be a great team player, because I mean, if you're taking all the shots, not getting your teammates involved, unless you're putting up 40, 50 a game, I mean, it's going to be hard to win games, and especially you're not going to win playoff series individually by yourself. So I think certain intangibles. You can have maybe some of these players that are behind Allen Iverson. You can make the argument that they should be ahead, but I mean, it's a wash. I mean, a lot of this comes down to preference too, and the style of basketball that you like to see play.
Yeah, definitely not. And just to your point about it being a team game, and great players can do great things, but it takes a great team to win at the end of the day. I think both of these guys actually are really good examples of that, because I don't think anybody would say that these guys weren't great players, at least in some regard. They were the top players of that era, the early 2000s, from about, maybe a little bit of the late 90s into that early 2000s. But just to highlight some of AI stats here and to highlight some of the reasons why I was a little surprised, like looking at his numbers, 26.7 points a game. We all know he could score. 6.2 assists. I was actually a little surprised he was up there. About 4 rebounds, 2.2 steals. I don't know if he was the greatest defender. He took a lot of chances, but hey, that's pretty good. And then this is where it gets kind of weird. 42.5% from the field, 31.3% from three, and then 78% from the line. So, yeah, for a 6-foot guard, that's definitely not the most efficient. But with that being said, I mean, he did win the MVP, like we said, 11-time All-Star, won 2 MVPs at the All-Star game, 7-time All-NBA, 4-time scoring champ, 3-time steals leader, Rookie of the Year. You mentioned how he led the 2000-2001 Sixers to the finals. And that team didn't really have a lot of scorers, so he was pretty much putting them on his back, at least on the offensive end. They had a lot of defenders, but he could score. I think he showed that he could, carry a team. Maybe if they had a couple other players and they weren't playing against Kobe and Shaq, he could have got a ring.
Yeah, that didn't help.
So, I don't know. I think I'm okay with him at 29. I think he's properly rated, I'll say.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. Like you said, the field goal percentage, that's just like, it just makes you cringe a little bit, because you know how many shots he's taken. I mean, if you look at how many shots he's taking per game, you're like, you want to see a little bit more efficiency out of that, but it is what it is. Still a great player nonetheless.
Yeah, and then even in his MVP season, he was only shooting 42%, 32% from three. So, I mean, 31 points a game, though, is still 31 points. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But, I mean, moving on a little bit to Tracy McGrady, because I feel like his case is a lot more interesting. I think AI, people are pretty much consensus that he's a great player, but I've seen all over the place opinions on McGrady. For his career, only 19.6 points a game. He kind of battled injuries, later on in his career. About 6 rebounds, 4.4 assists, about a steal and a block. So he's solid defensive numbers as well. But just kind of like AI, 43.5% from the field, 33.8% from three, 74.6% from the free throw line. I don't know. I mean, where are you at with T-Mac? Because obviously, until he was on the Spurs as a bench player, he had never made it out of the first round of the playoffs. So, I mean, yeah, I felt he was really good and really talented. Mm-hmm. It just never came together for him. So, I don't know where that should rank.
Yeah, like you mentioned, that he's a hard person to judge. And a lot of the background reason why these couple players have been coming up. Facebook has an NBA page called NBA Buzz. They put out a lot of good content. I mean, they're pretty quick with the updates on the basketball world.
Yeah,
and it is. If you guys don't follow it, I'd give it a follow and get into a lot of crazy conversations. Maybe you can find a few good ones. But yeah. So I had commented actually on a post about Kobe and T-Mac, and I was just looking at their field goal percentages. Like we mentioned, they had high scoring total this game. But then I looked at the percentages. I'm like, 42, 43%. It's kind of whatever. I made a comment something like that, and Chris and Alex actually had a little pushback on me, which is all good. I'm always open for a good conversation. So And then me and Chris got to talking about the different eras and how defense is like played throughout the eras, how it changed from the 80s to the 90s, early 2000s, and so on. And we actually got into looking at statistics about the defense or the offense, the whole NBA's percentage as a whole from the field. And I think Chris could speak on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about that. But yeah, from 1998 to 2005 is really strange. The percentage, that field goal percent just for the entire NBA is about 44.7, hovers around that range, 44 or 45. And every other year in the league, before and after that, in going back to like the 80s, I don't want to go back too far, wanted to stay in the modern era. But just going back that far and coming till now, it was all the field goal percent was always above like 46%. So I mean, I just assume, and just thinking back on that era, just the physicality of play, I think it just had gotten to a boil. I think the league had been trying to implement a lot of changes in the rules, their image, and I think that at that time it might have been the hardest time to be an efficient player because if you look at any player that I looked up that was a high volume scorer, they didn't have good field goal percent. Like Kobe Bryant, Paul Pierce, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, like we mentioned, even Vince Carter. It was a rough time. It was a lot of ISO ball and not very much court spacing. So it was a weird time. So I think that does need to factor in, when we consider these guys and comparing them to players in other areas. Because I don't know. I think a guy like AI in today's game, he might be more efficient. He'd probably take better shots. They probably would use him better and have more spacing, so he could cross you up a little bit. So, just my two
Yeah,
cents on
and
that.
yeah, no, I mean that's obviously a great point to bring up, but it's hard to compare eras because we can never see these players play. Like, I mean, a lot of people say, hey, Jordan would have averaged around 40 points in today's game. I mean, you can speculate that, but I mean, who's to say that other people wouldn't have adjusted to stop him from doing so? So, I mean, there's always that, and I just found it interesting when Chris actually brought that up. He said they shot a higher percentage overall in the 80s, and I was like, that seems kind of weird because I mean, you would think
Strange.
that the 80s was one of the more physical eras of basketball, and they weren't allowed to implement zone back then, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was just physical. I mean, there was hand checking. I mean, extremely hard fouls. I mean, players could pretty much fight back then and not get ejected. So yeah, you're right. The errors do, I think, have an effect. But then I also look at, I mean, is it possible that maybe in that time period that you mentioned, is it possible that those players were just not quite as good as the super elite scorers of other eras? I mean, I think that could be possible. I mean,
See, and I mean that's really the debate, honestly, because, like you said, I think that could be possible, but personally, I just don't believe that. I watch these guys play. I think that Tracy McGrady or Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, I think these guys could have played in any era, and I think
yeah,
that about a lot of these
100%.
players, and that's why when I just like to look at how dominant they were, over their competition, because, like you said, I can't compare
That's all you can do.
what would happen if Michael Jordan and LeBron James were on the court at the same time. Like nobody knows. Like nobody truly
Right.
knows. So I mean, all we can look at is what they did against the people they played against, and yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I was just saying that. I mean, we don't look at a lot of these players like we don't think of a lot of these players in the top 10, top 20 players all the time in the time period that you mentioned. Besides Kobe, Kobe's
Yeah,
top 10, no question. But everyone else, I mean, you could be making the argument for a lot of players back in the 80s, a lot of players now in present day. So
100%, 100%, and
it's,
that's kind of
it's
why I didn't put Kobe in this. Like, are they overrated discussion? Because I mean, I don't think there's many people out there that say that Kobe is just super overrated and
no,
anything like that. But these guys are kind of that second tier of that era, and that's where it starts getting dicey. I think all these names we named around AI, and then I got names too that were in the same area as T
Like
Mac.
Paul Pierce.
Yeah, and I just think really it all comes down to personal preference and just who you like better at that point. Because if we go the people around Tracy McGrady just ahead of him, James Worthy. Well, Tracy McGrady's 52. Let me say that. James Worthy was 51. Reggie Miller 49. George Iceman Gervin 47. Dominique Wilkins 46. Rick Barry 43. Russell Westbrook 42. And Bob Cousy was 41. And then we're getting into those other guys that I mentioned with AI, but it's tough. Like T-Mac, I honestly didn't expect him to be rated that high because I don't think he was on the NBA like all 75 team. So I didn't expect him to even be rated on this list when I looked. So I mean, I think it's all. That's why I said I think it's kind of like all over the place with him. So I mean, like, do you think he should be above any of those guys? Because I kind of, other than maybe like George Gervin, I feel like that one's kind of tough because George Gervin was tough back in the day too.
He was a bucket.
So I mean, I don't know.
I just
maybe
yeah,
like Russell Westbrook triple double, man. I don't know. He's even done more in the playoffs than T-Mac. So
yeah, I mean Russell Westbrook's had some scoring leader seasons too, or been second. So
yeah,
I mean it's hard. The injuries really just hampered him. We truly don't. I mean, I think Tracy McGrady would have been one of the best scorers ever, like possibly on Melo's level if the injuries just never like he always just got the worst injuries at the worst times, and his career just it could just never fully take. I mean, he got deep in the playoffs a few times, but getting a little off track there. But yeah, I probably keep him about where he is, honestly.
Yeah,
he was a bucket though. That 13 points in 33 seconds. To those of you listening, I don't know if y'all remember that, but that was honestly one of the craziest stretches of any game I've ever seen in my life.
Definitely. If you haven't seen that, you got to go look that up. Yeah, just one of the most incredible moments in NBA history for sure. But then, I mean, just staying on this, where we got Tracy McGrady, because this is where it gets tough for me, because some of these names they had behind him was kind of rough. We got Gary Payton, 53, Paul Pierce, 54, Vince Carter, 55, Ray Allen, 56, Clyde Drexler, 57, and Manu Ginobili, 58.
And you said these players were behind Tracy McGrady?
Oh, I'm sorry. He was actually ahead of those players. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, man. All those players you just named were cold. I mean, GP. I mean, he was a defensive wizard. Paul Pierce. I mean, you watch Paul Pierce in his prime. I know probably not too many people have. I mean, dude was a straight bucket. Obviously, you know what Vince Carter was. He's probably the most electrifying player in the NBA at one point. Ray Allen, 3-point king. I mean, yeah, that's tough. That's really tough, actually. And then Ginobili, I mean, he was that perfect glue guy. Like he was one of the best glue guys in the NBA. Pretty much.
And he showed what he could do in the Olympic play. You know, as the best player on the team too. I really hold that in high regard when I think about Ginobili. So.
That's a great point.
I honestly think maybe I might keep him ahead of Paul Pierce. I think if he didn't have the injuries, I think he would have been better than old Paul Pierce. But then, yeah, I think I'd have all the rest of those guys ahead of him, honestly.
Yeah, I was about to say, I probably have everybody at that problem, but
yeah, him and Paul Pierce is the debate for me. But the rest of those guys, I just feel like they did more, they won more, everything. They stayed healthy longer, so
it's hard to argue that they all should be in front, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I came into this saying these guys definitely aren't overrated, but in case of Tracy McGrady, I'm ready to say he's overrated. Miles got me today. He got me. So.
Miles won. Say that.
But yeah, I mean, moving off that one, we could talk a little bit about some modern NBA, something going on right now that we had also been talking about a little bit throughout this week. And are the Lakers in trouble right now? Currently 10-11, which is good for 8th in the West. Got some shocking alarming stats from Anthony Davis here. He's currently
Yeah.
16.7% on threes, which would be the worst in NBA history by any player that attempted 2 or more threes a game and played more than 20 games. So that's rough. It doesn't stop there though. 38.3% on mid range, worst in the NBA right now by anybody with 100 plus attempts, and 33.1% on total jump shots, just jump shots from anywhere, worst in the NBA by any player with 150 attempts there. So yeah, it's not been a good season shooting the ball for AD. That's the first worry for the Lakers. Second, Russell Westbrook. The counting stats not too bad. 20 points a game, 20.4. Give him that. 8.7 assists, 8.5 rebounds. Only 43.8%, 31.2% from three, 70.3% from the line. So typical Russell Westbrook there. And then this is kind of shocking to me. A little bit worrisome, but he's been battling injuries. LeBron, 25.1 points, 6.6 assists, 5.2 rebounds, 47.2% from the field, 33.3 from three. So not the worst numbers in the world. Obviously, these are really still great numbers for any player, but not that typical like 27, 8, and 8 that we normally see.
Right.
So just a slight downtick, combined with the way Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook have been shooting and just playing inefficiently. How worried are you right now about the Lakers?
Dude, I honestly, I look forward to watching them every night when I can, when they're not playing at 10:30, which that's usually the case on the East Coast.
Must
But
watch.
yeah, exactly. They're must watch. So I'm always excited to watch them. But when I watch them play, I get so frustrated because I feel like I really feel like it's their defense. Their coaching is just not that great. Their execution down the stretch, just letting teams back into it. Like they don't close games out. They it don't matter who it is, the Kings, the Thunder, all these terrible teams just stay in the game somehow. It's really frustrating to watch, especially me. I mean, obviously, if you've been following, I'm a huge LeBron fan. I want to see LeBron do great, but I mean, his teammates and him to some degree. I gotta get on him too a little bit. They're just not shooting the ball well. Like all those stats you mentioned, Chris. Anthony Davis set 16% on. I mean, that's worse than Westbrook. And I think we all thought that Anthony Davis could shoot better than Westbrook, but it's not looking like the case this season. And Anthony Davis in particular is worrisome. When he gets the ball in the mid range, he doesn't look to attack too often. He likes to do the jab step, shoot a fadeaway mid range, and it's just been a lot of missing. Just a lot of missing and too much settling. And yeah, it's frustrating to watch. And then we all know what Westbrook's shooting low situation. Just him with that just terrible shot selection sometimes. It's just not looking good. And they actually have good pieces around them, the shooters, and like Wayne Ellington, Malik Monk has actually been playing pretty well this season. I'm forgetting some people, but
Horton Tucker's been all right.
yeah, Horton Tucker exactly. But 10 and 11, they shouldn't be there. But I still want to give them the benefit of that just because it's early. You're fitting in a weird group of a weird core of superstars. So I still want to at least give them to All-Star break, see where they're at, see if they're improving at least, not staying the same or getting worse. So my frustration level with them is very high.
Yeah, for me, I mean, yeah, if you've been following the show, I've been on the other side of this coin, really rooting against the Lakers. Been rooting for the Nets. Hasn't really gone too great for that side either. I mean, they are first in the East right now. But as far as the Lakers go, if I was rooting for them, I wouldn't be too worried right now. I did forget to mention LeBron has only played 10 games, missed 11 already due to suspension and injury. Well, mostly injury, but the 1-game suspension. We all saw what happened with Isaiah Stewart, which they're actually playing right now. So the game might have ended already.
9:30.
Oh, okay,
No,
it's
I think
9:30. Yeah,
I think they play at 9:30.
I couldn't remember when they played, but yeah, once as soon as we get off of here, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. See if
Oh
there's any
yeah,
beefing going on out there. But
right.
but yeah, just as far as the Lakers go, I'm not worried, man. I'm with you about we'll get to All Star break, and then they're still not playing well. Then maybe we should start to worry. But 16%, like Anthony Davis, even if he's not the same, if the injuries are caught up with him, which I've heard some people say, which I personally, I think he can still get back. But 16%, that's too bad for anyone. So like,
And
I think that's
anybody.
gonna improve. And I think LeBron, he's still getting into gear, man. He's year 19. By the time we get to the playoffs, he's gonna be ready to go. So as long as AD is ready to go, Westbrook can kind of do his thing, but not mess it up too much. I still think they got a shot. I'm not worried at all right now. I mean, not at all, but like just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, like you said. But for me, it's like they can score with anybody. I think their defense is. It doesn't look like they're the team that gives a second effort on defense. They don't. They just let people blow by them, play just random players. I just watch the games. I'm like, how does I don't know. Like Buddy Hield's going crazy. I mean, Buddy Hield's a great player.
Hield.
He's a great player. That man's hitting one-legged fadeaways on them, just deep 3-pointers. I'm like, wow, does everyone have their best game against the Lakers? That's what it seems like to me. Every star player or even secondary player on the opposing team has like their best game against the Lakers, and that just can't happen that often. It can happen, I guess, and it can be fun, but come playoff time, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, and a big loss for the team, I think, and he's showing it in Chicago this year. Alex Caruso, his defense is actually like at an elite level. He's moved his way into the starting lineup on that team who they've been balling, so he's not even
Yeah.
really scoring. He's just literally in there just to play defense and hustle and just be a guy out there, and he's doing it. So shout out to him. I really think that right now they could use him for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. He had to go for his situation, but yeah, if they had Caruso, I think that'd be a huge help for the team.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, from there, we also do want to hear you guys' thoughts on the Lakers, on this whole T Mac AI situation, all the debates we have on here. If you guys got ideas for more debates, let us know on our social medias. Average Sports Nerds, AVG Sports Nerds, on Instagram and TikTok. So hit us up, let us know, join the debate, hop in the chat here on YouTube, join the debate, man, because we're gonna keep having these. I really enjoy talking about some more pressing topics as opposed to just covering stuff. But
Yeah, we respond. If you chat us or anything like that, comment, hey, you'll get a response from us.
definitely, like if you don't have any friends, like if you love sports, you don't have any friends that like sports or anything, your family doesn't want to talk about sports, hit us up, man. That's all we do, it seems
Seriously,
like. So
I
yeah.
have conversations with random people almost every day on Facebook about sports. So
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I mean, we can move on though. We do still want to talk about the NFL because it's really heating up here. Week 12. We're just gonna jump around the league here. We got a couple storylines to hit. Don't really have that much time to hit them, so we're just gonna go through it. Starting with the Patriots today, a big win over the Titans, 36-13. This makes both teams 8-4. And question here is really, do you believe in either teams going down the stretch? Starting with the Patriots, like they're looking good, man. What do you think?
yeah, I believe in them, man. I think isn't it that they won like 6 in a row or something like that, or like five?
It's either, yeah, I was gonna say seven, but yeah, six sounds
Yeah,
better.
either six or seven. Yeah, but either way, impressive win streak. I believe in them. I mean, they have that championship pedigree, even without Brady. I mean, not saying that they're going to reach the championship game this season, but you never know, man. Bill Belichick is still a great coach, and hey, just a shout out to their kicker, man. That dude is great. He's on my fantasy team, and I just randomly picked him up. And hey,
Hey,
I
he's
mean, it's
leading the
like
NFL
one of
in
my
points.
yeah. I was about to say, man, he's like my best scorer. So yeah, shout out to him. And if he's doing that, I mean, he's gonna help him win a lot of games, obviously. But Mac Jones, I think he's looking solid. I mean, he's had his ups and downs, but I mean, he's playing as good as any rookie in the league, really. I mean, as far as like team success wise. So um,
100%.
I, 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 I believe in the Patriots, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, this win moves them into first in the AFC East, 8-4. The Bills are 7-4 after their Thanksgiving night win. So I mean, I'm not sure if they're gonna win the division. The Bills are still a really good team. I'd probably give them I'd say like a 40% chance to win it. I think either way though, they'll be in the playoffs with the wild card. So I mean,
Definitely.
I'm with you. Like you said, this team has a good defense. We know Bill Belichick. He knows how to coach. He's been in this situation before with a young quarterback, a good defense. They have a solid run game. I think in the playoffs, hey, any given Sunday, right? This team could beat any team in the NFL, and they've been proving it. So why not
100%.
them?
And I wish I had the average amount of points they scored because it's actually been pretty impressive the amount of points they're scoring in these the last few weeks. So that's something to keep in mind too. They can really put some points on the board.
Definitely, definitely. If they can do that, they're gonna be scary. But moving to the Titans side of the ball, I know a few weeks ago they were riding high, 8-2,
Mm-hmm.
first in the AFC. And now it's starting to get a little sketchy. Obviously, Derrick Henry's out. Uh, AJ Brown just got placed on IR this week, so he's gonna miss at least 3 weeks. Julio got put on IR a few weeks back, so he's out for the time being. They're down to a bunch of, I'm not going to say no names, but not household names at the skill positions. The defense, they looked good for a couple weeks there, but today it wasn't so good against Mac Jones and company. So I mean, what's your confidence level? They still have a 2-game lead over the Colts, but what do you think right now for the Titans?
Yeah, like you said, man, it's starting to look a little shaky for them. I mean, they lost pretty much like three of their key offensive players, in Julio, Brown, and Henry. So I mean, obviously that's going to be a huge detriment to any team. And now this is the time where they're just going to have to grind through, play good football. I mean, it looks like that. I didn't get the chance to see the game today, but it looks like they didn't play too well today. They only had 13 points. So yeah, I think it's going to be a uphill climb to stay kind of in the position that they're in currently. But maybe just to maintain it, I think they have a decent shot at it.
Yeah,
But that's hard to say though.
yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, the Colts. I thought they were gonna beat the Bucks today, and that would have really put the pressure on them. They would have only been a game back, but still, being only 2 games back, it's still week 12. It's an extra game this year, so we gotta go all the way through week 18. There's plenty of time. I think the Colts
Okay.
clearly look like the better football team on the field right now. So I mean, it's tough. I think the Colts are gonna come back and win this division. But with that being said, I still think the Titans might sneak in on a wild card or something like that. But if they don't have Derrick Henry mainly, and especially, yeah, and then if they also don't have AJ Brown, I have no
Oh
confidence
yeah,
in this team.
yeah.
So
They can forget about it. Yeah, that's good that you mentioned the Colts. I think the Colts are actually like playing pretty well as of the last few weeks. Even though they did lose today, they only lost by a touchdown in a hard fought out game to the Buccaneers, who are obviously the defending champs. So yeah, I think the Colts are actually in a good position. Carson Wentz is actually playing pretty solid ball, and obviously, I think now the Colts have the best running back in the NFL. It, I think it was Derrick Henry pretty clearly before he got injured, but now it's clearly Taylor. So yeah, I think the Colts actually could really put some heat on.
yeah, definitely. And just last point on Derrick Henry here. I saw a stat going into this week. He was still the third leading rusher in the NFL. So I mean, he was just so far out ahead of everyone. It's taken a few weeks for even just two people to pass him. So,
He's
but
on a different level.
But yeah, we can move on to the AFC North. Actually, two of these teams, the Ravens and the Browns, are playing right now on Sunday Night Football. So we'll have a more clear picture, tomorrow when we wake up. But the Bengals, big win today, big statement game over the Steelers, 41-10, moving them to 7-4, half game behind Baltimore right now for the division crown. Just who you got in this division right now? Because I'll just give it to you: Ravens 7-3, Bengals 7-4, Browns 6-5, Steelers 5-1.
Hey, that's competitive, man. Wow, I didn't even realize it was. I don't think the Steelers. I don't really think they got a shot at getting first.
Yeah, eliminate them.
Yeah, they looked horrible today. I actually watched that game. They just looked bad. Um, the Browns definitely don't see them getting there. I mean, they're just too up. They're too up and down. I mean, they still have a positive record, but I just think their inconsistency will catch up with them by the end of the season. The Bengals, I actually like the Bengals. I mean, they have a great offense. Burrow, Chase, Higgins,
Yeah, Higgins
Mixon. I
was
mean,
going crazy today.
yeah, I have him in one of my other leagues. I was like, yes, I played that man today, and I had Mixon on my team too. So I didn't lose him in my other league
Yeah,
either.
he's a stud.
So yeah, Mixon, he was amazing. I actually had fun watching him play. And the Ravens, I still like the Ravens. You definitely can't count them out. I mean, obviously they have Lamar Jackson. That's tough. I mean, it's gonna be between the Bengals and the Ravens. If I had to choose, yeah, let me just go Bengals for the culture.
Oh wow, okay, okay.
I like the Bengals, honestly.
I don't hate it. I actually do think the Bengals are a good team. Joe Burrow is the truth. Like, I'm ready to say it. We've seen last year before the ACL injury, then just bounce back from the ACL injury and just right back to balling. I think this guy's legit. But, anybody knows me. I went to Towson University, which is about 20 minutes from Baltimore. My boys they wouldn't like it too much, so I'm going with the Ravens in this one. I like Lamar
I'm
Jackson's
mad
still
at
my
it.
guy. I John Harbaugh, I think, is one of the most underrated coaches in the league. He keeps that team playing good football, no matter what the roster looks like, no matter who's injured. They've lost every running back. They're signing, washed up guys that haven't been in the league and stuff. So they're still winning games. I think they'll beat the Browns tonight, which I don't have any information. So if they're already getting blown out or something, I just probably sound like a fool right now. But I think they beat the Browns tonight, and I think they win this division. But Bengals,
Yeah, Ravens were
wild
up
card.
3-0 on the Browns in the second quarter. Just a little.
Okay. So yeah, that should be a good game for sure. But yeah, Bengals in the playoffs though. But moving on, the last division, the AFC, I didn't really expect to just go division by division, but the AFC is just competitive right now. Just want to get your thoughts right now. We got Chiefs 7-4. They had a bye this week. Chargers 6-5, lost to the Broncos this week. Raiders 6-5, beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, and the Broncos also 6-5 with the win over the Chargers. So one game separating all four teams in this one. Who you got?
Yeah, this one's tough too. Don't think that either the Raiders or the Broncos are going to win, so I'm just going to eliminate those two teams off the rip. I mean, I mean, obviously it's competitive, so I mean, who knows what could happen in this division? But I just don't think they have a high percentage chance of winning it. So it's either going to be either Kansas City or the Chargers, and I think Kansas City's starting to get in their stride a little bit. I mean, they're starting to play a little bit better. I mean, I think they had a bye this week, so got some rest.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes just
it's been
can't.
a rough year.
I'm just it has it, but I think and this will really show how great he can be if he can kind of still rally the team, get them through this season. But I'm not going to just ignore Herbert on the Chargers. Dude's been he's honestly probably been the quarterback I've been most impressed with honestly this season. He's had some crazy big games, and I mean, he's got the Chargers still competitive. So I'm gonna still go with the former MVP Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said about the Chiefs just rounding into form here, and I think they had a lot of struggles early on in the season, and the offense is still struggling a little bit, but they're finding ways to win football games, and they still have Patrick Mahomes, who, even though he's not really playing the best right now, we've seen what he can do. We know the talent he has. It's not even up for question, in my opinion. He's at least a top two quarterback in the NFL, but I mean, I think he's the best. So I got to roll with that. But I agree 100% too about Herbert. I think if anybody else were to win the division, it would be them. Although he did have a tough game today against the Broncos, I got to say they had a great game. Shout out to Denver. But yeah, I think you got to go with the quarterbacks, man. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can move on to the NFC. NFC's a little bit more wide open, I would say, just from at the top.
Definitely.
It's more top heavy. A lot of these divisions seem like teams have a pretty substantial lead. But some of the highlights from the NFC today, big one: the Packers beat the Rams 36-28. So that was huge for the standings. I'll give you the top 6 right now in the NFC, and we'll just decide who we think's the favorite. So Cardinals 9-2, they want to bye. Packers 9-3, Buccaneers 8-3, Cowboys 7-4, Rams 7-4, and the 49ers are the only other team in the NFC with the winning record at 6-5. So who's the favorite right now for you?
Honestly, I was pretty high on the Cardinals for a lot of the season, obviously, because they looked the best. They were undefeated for the longest time, for the longest amount of time compared to any other team. It's not. What I'm gonna say, not super surprising, but you'd probably be like, I think I'm gonna go with the Bucks. Honestly, I still think Tom Brady. I mean, his receiving core, Gronk had a game today. Even though Godwin and Evans really pretty much non-existent today, but we all know that they can come in any given week and go off. I like the Bucks, honestly. I still feel like they have a solid defense. They had some tough losses that I'm surprised that when they lost, but I don't know. I like the Bucks so far, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can never bet against Tom Brady. He's always the best bet. Just looking at the game today, I didn't think Tom or the Bucks offense, or even the defense for that matter, really played their best game. But somehow they just found a way to win at the end. Just continued pushing. The run defense is incredible. Even though they played Jonathan Taylor today, they held him in check for like his standards. So I think they got the best run D in the league. I think, come playoff time, you mentioned Gronk today. He's kind of just getting back from injury. Antonio Brown, he hasn't played in a while. I mean, my fantasy team and the Buccaneers could probably use him, but they're stashing him, it seems like, for the playoffs, and I think he'll be ready. So that's a good pick. But I just want to highlight right now the Green Bay Packers. I think currently, like right now, they're playing the best football, in my opinion. Like they look so good. Even without Aaron Jones, he didn't play last week. He played this game, but A.J. Dillon was still pretty much the lead back. A.J. Dillon looks like a beast. Devontae Adams, we know he's arguably the top receiver in the league. Aaron Rodgers. These guys are balling out right now. They're 9-3. They beat the Cardinals, and that was before Kyler Murray got hurt. They beat the Rams today. So that's two of the top teams right there in the NFC. I don't like come playoff time, I reserve the right to change my mind and then go bet on Tom Brady. But just right now in week 12, I got to say the Packers are playing the best football.
Yeah, I like that pick too. I think the Packers are definitely a hot team right now. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers. I was at the mall earlier. Sorry, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was at the mall area. I was actually watching him throw a dime to Devontae Adams. It was just a beautiful play, and I like the Packers too, but I'm gonna go with the Bucks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of these other teams, though, Cardinals, Kyler Murray's missed the last three, so we gotta see what happens there. I still think they got a chance. Cowboys, no chance. No chance.
Nah,
They don't look
I
very good.
would.
They don't look very good.
I, yeah,
We'll talk about them in a second, actually, too. But the Rams, they have not looked good in the last few weeks, especially since they lost Robert Woods. They got to regroup. 49ers, though, sleeper team. They're on the come up. They actually look pretty solid. So just my 2 cents on the NFC race here. But that leads us to the Monday night game. And you can probably hear some excitement in my voice here. It's the first time in a while. I've been excited to talk about the Washington football team, at least before the game. The last 2 weeks, we've been a pleasant surprise. So now, just like typical Washington football team, we got expectations now. We're playing against the Seattle Seahawks. We're 4-6. That's not that great, but they're 3-7, so they're not very good either. All the betting sites I'm seeing, it's either a pick 'em or either team favored by 1. So it's up in the air. This is a game we need to win.
definitely.
Only 2 games, but if we win this game, we'd only be 2 games behind the Cowboys. We still play them twice. We got a chance, man. Like, what percentage chance do you give us to win tomorrow night?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Seahawks, they're not good, but I feel like they're just always that tough team that's just like they can just randomly just strap you or just randomly play really well.
Yeah, Russell Wilson might go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give them like a 5 in my confidence about them winning this game. Is it at home or is it in Seattle?
I'm pretty sure it's at home. I can double check real quick though.
I mean, that makes me feel a little bit better if that is the case. Yeah, I just give them about
home. Yeah, it is at home.
Okay. I give them 5.5 out of 10. I think they could win it.
Yeah, I think I'm right there. I think it's 50-50, man. With this team, you never know who's going to show up. I think it either goes like it's a really hard fought, close game. We either
That's
win
what
or
I think
lose,
it's gonna be.
or we just get blown out. Like there's no like possibility in my mind that we just come out and like dominate the game. Like like 35 to 17. Like that's not happening. Like just no. So yeah, it's gonna be a long night.
Yeah, I feel like with the Seahawks, I feel like it's gonna be one of those scoring games where it's like 12 to like 9. I don't know why. I just get that vibe that this game's gonna be something like that. Some low scoring, just defensive kind of powerhouse game. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it, man. I could see it. Either way, like I said, it's gonna be a long night for me. I know I'm gonna be with the edge of my seat, so we'll see. Real quick though, I gotta ask: do you give us any shot at coming back on the Cowboys, winning this division? 1 to 10.
One I gotta go. It's about like a 3.8, somewhere in there. I'm not too confident.
Yeah, you're
like
higher. I'm like a 2.5, like about a 25% chance that we do that. Like,
yeah, I was trying to be a little generous, but
yeah,
I don't see it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's competitive in the NFC. I mean, the Eagles are still 5-7, Giants 4-7. I mean, they're not that great either, but I mean, we're all kind of all the teams are kind of at the same level, so it can just teeter either way at any given week. So
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, moving on from there, just a couple other news and notes around the sports world. Lincoln Riley, the coach for Oklahoma, is leaving to take the head coaching job at USC. Saw that today. It was super strange to me. I mean, Oklahoma's been like a powerhouse team. Obviously, they haven't really won like the national championship or anything like that, but they've consistently been at least like Big 12 championship games, college football playoffs, and like I know USC has history and they were good but they haven't been good in a long time. So I thought this was a strange move. I don't know. We'll see. I guess congrats to him. He probably, I mean, I know he definitely had to take more money to leave, but so
Yeah, definitely.
shout out to him. I thought he would. I thought his next job would be the NFL, honestly. So this was a huge shock to me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really know this person, but I actually got the notification on my phone that this change happened. So I just looked into it. So yeah, I don't think he would leave unless he was getting less money. So
Yeah, strange. He probably could have taken any like just if you didn't know, probably could take any NFL like opening. They have,
right.
like teams have been trying to get him to come out of college for a while, so just
Okay.
a strange move. And then sticking in college football here, the big game this week, number 5 Michigan beat number 2 Ohio State at home, 42-27. Obviously, this is going to shake up the college football playoff rankings. This puts Michigan into the Big Ten championship. Ohio State is out. I think obviously they're out of the playoff now. So it's getting down to the nitty gritty here. I think there's really only 6 teams, in my opinion, going into the conference championships that have a legitimate chance. But we all know, I mean, Georgia, obviously after this one, Michigan, Alabama should probably be in there. They're number 3. They play Georgia in the SEC championship game. So that could also shake some things up moving forward. But from there, the other 3 teams for this last spot right now, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame. I don't know where the committee's going to go. I think it should be in that order I said, with Cincinnati at 4. They're undefeated, and they actually beat Notre Dame, so I don't think Notre Dame could be ahead of them.
Right.
But I have a strange feeling that if Oklahoma State can win the Big 12 championship, that the committee might try to put them over Cincinnati. So something to watch there. You got any thoughts on that? Have you checked out Cincinnati or anything?
Honestly, I haven't got a chance to watch Cincinnati play at all. But I actually was gonna ask you about the Alabama game. I think they played Auburn last night. Did you catch that? That game was intense.
4 overtimes. They should have
that was
lost
wild.
that game. Like, I'll say that right
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
They were terrible on offense for more than 3 quarters until like literally the last minute and a half where they drove down the field and got a touchdown to tie it. Like Alabama was not Alabama. Obviously a rivalry game. I don't know how much I read into that. They've struggled a couple games. Obviously the Texas A&M game where they lost. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, they'd be in. But if they lose to Georgia, I don't see how you could put them in just with the struggles they've had and 2 losses.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing last night. I'm like, if they lose this game, like, there's no way they can. I don't think there should be any way that they can make it into playoff.
Well, I mean, they could have turned around and beat Georgia, and then they would have ruined everything. But
yeah, that's always a possibility. And yeah, you can't put anything past Alabama. But
yeah,
assuming everything played out how we think it would, like, I think that would have been I was like, they're kind of their playoff season on the line right there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, college football with one loss, if that second loss is just a killer. Like I think 1 or 2 teams have made it, but you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, last couple pieces of news here. Cam Newton got benched today in the Panthers' 33-10 loss to the Dolphins. 5 for 21 for 92 yards, 2 interceptions. He did have a rushing touchdown, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen that bad of a completion percentage in an NFL game. Like, honestly, ever. Wow, that's not impressive at all.
Yeah, he looked completely terrible today. So I mean, I don't know. It's not like the Panthers have really anyone better. So
yeah, McCaffrey struggled today too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to do anything when the quarterback's 5 for 21. So.
Yeah.
And he steals the rushing touchdown at the goal line. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, NBA world, the Bucks signed DeMarcus Cousins. Just another stop for him in a long downward spiral from the Kings, which
Yeah.
yeah.
That man about to play on every single championship contending team that there ever was in the modern era. Like this man just going.
He wants a ring so bad.
Yeah.
He wants one so bad.
Didn't he get one with the Warriors, or was he not on? Or was that the
Um,
year where Kevin Durant got hurt? I don't.
I'm not sure. I think it might have been when Kevin Durant got hurt, but I'm not sure. We're gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would look it up. We're running low on time here. Last couple stories: Klay Thompson could return the week of Christmas, according to multiple, Jesus, multiple reports. Warriors right now 18-2, best record in the league. Obviously adding Klay Thompson back. Hey man, this Steph Curry could be making some claims here soon.
Nah, for real. It's Stephen Curry's unbelievable, man. Almost every shot he makes, I just shake my head. You just can't do it. You can't do anything about it. There's nothing. Like I don't know if you saw the game he played today. I mean, he flipped out on the ref. I mean, he got hacked. The ref just called out of bounds. This man just lost his cool. Like, and then he just went off.
Oh, I
Like, so
gotta
you
see
made
this.
it.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah, it's
it.
like like made this man mad, and he went off for like 33 in the end. But yeah, I mean the Warriors. I mean, 18-2. That's crazy. And then got to give a little shout out to the Phoenix Suns because they actually have the longest winning streak in the NBA right now, and they just beat the Nets. I think it
16
was
in a
last
row.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, these could be the teams in the conference finals possibly. Assuming the Lakers don't get their stuff together, I wouldn't be surprised if these teams made the conference finals.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now the Warriors are my pick to be in the conference finals for sure. Like, they're playing way too good. Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
They got guys stepping up. Even Gary Payton had a few games in there. Gary Payton Jr.
Yeah. Yeah, fact. Wiggins has been playing pretty solid.
Yeah, Wiggins is nice. Also, they're supposed to be getting Wiseman back soon. Or not soon, but at some point. So, I mean, that could also help. Could mess with the chemistry, but I think it'll be all right.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to ask too much of them offensively. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the last piece of news here, Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury set for Saturday, December 18th. I want to get your thoughts. I mean, you don't have to give a prediction per se, but, like, what do you expect from that fight?
I have no clue. No clue. Like, to be honest with you, I have no clue. I honestly, I just want to see Jake Paul lose. I just want to, like, I give him his credit for going out boxing, like actually going through with it. Because I mean, boxing is, you can make the argument that's the hardest sport that you can play or that you can do. I just want to see him lose. He gets to talking a lot. I'm like, dude, just fight a boxer. I mean, I don't really know too much about Tommy Fury, but
no, Tommy Fury's actually legit. He's
got some skills.
Yeah, he's younger brother of Tyson Fury, obviously, but
yeah,
he's actually a professional boxer. I looked him up. I didn't really get to see any of his highlights or his matches or anything, but I think he is like 7-0. Like I said, professional boxer, so I mean, he's at least trained seriously. We know his brother is the heavyweight champion of the world right now, so
yeah.
I mean, I would say this. Win or lose, I give Jake Paul respect for doing this. Like, he's actually fighting a legitimate fighter. That's what everybody asked of him. So, hey, I give him credit. Like I said, I'm gonna go back and watch some Tommy Fury fights if I can actually even find them, and we'll see. I mean, I think Jake's in for a tough fight, man. Because I've watched his fights. Like, he can fight pretty good for, like, you know, a celebrity fighting, but going up against a professional, even, you know, any professional, I think it's going to be tough. So we'll see. But I think even more exciting for me on this card, Frank Gore former NFL running back, is going to be fighting Darren Williams, former NBA point guard. If you know anything about either of these two guys, like Frank Gore, like the Iron Man of the NFL, this man played running back for like 20 years. Like, no one does that. So I expect him to come in here in good shape. But then also Darren Williams, like, there was a stretch there when people were asking if he was the best point guard in the NBA. So, I mean, if you're not familiar with Darren Williams, go look him up when he was on Utah. I mean, after he left Utah, it went downhill. But when he was on Utah, he was a beast.
No, you could really make the argument he was the best point guard in the league.
Yeah, like, it was legit. I wish, I could find some videos, but people literally, Chris Paul versus Darren Williams was like the debate every day on First Take, it seemed like. So, yeah, I'm excited to see those guys fight. Never seen either one of them box, but I honestly love like the celebrity boxing stuff. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's
I love it. It's interesting. I love it because it's interesting to see like professional athletes in one sport try and do something else at a high level in front of like millions of people. That I find that interesting because I'm not looking for like a super technical match where these guys are gonna be throwing nice feints and dodges and crisp shots and stuff. I mean, it's gonna be like a brawl in a sense, but obviously it's boxing. So no, I like it too. It's more. I feel like it's more unknown. Like it's just like, what am I gonna get out of these guys who don't really fight like that? And it's just more exciting. Versus, I mean, we see these boxing champions fight a bunch of no-name people, and then we're just like, all right, man, he's about to crush this guy. Like, I don't know if we talked about Canelo and he beat that guy.
Yeah, we mentioned it for like 2 seconds because like, I mean,
it was like we knew he was gonna crush this dude. It was but yeah, I like these celebrity fights. Hey, did we talk about the Crawford Porter fight?
We did not. That did happen. We could touch on that real quick.
Yeah, just real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Crawford, what was it, the 11th round? I don't have it right here in front of me, but 11th round.
I think 11.
They stopped it. Obviously, I mean, coming in, I thought Bud Crawford is the better fighter. I respect Sean Porter. He's always been a good fighter, a good opponent. Obviously, he's not going to go out without a fight, and he didn't in this fight. He just, Crawford he's just too good. The only fight that, I want to see is him versus Errol Spence. So we're still waiting on that. But, yeah, as far as this one goes, I mean, Sean Porter retired after. So, I mean, shout out to him. Great career. I'd say he's one of the better fighters of, these last few years. He's given me a lot of good excitement. So I'm glad you brought this up because he does deserve, a couple minutes, just, something about Sean Porter. But, yeah, Bud Crawford, he's too good.
Yeah, like you said, Bud Crawford, he's just cold. Like, when you watch him, he just looks like he's just, like, on a slightly different level. I mean, they're all pretty close, but he just looks like he's a tick above. And and I think that's why we want to see him fight Errol Spence. But yeah, shout out to Sean Porter. He did retire, like you said, and he had a great career. I mean, he was like that brawler kind of boxer. I mean, he wasn't like the most technical, but he would just be up in your face and just making it tough, just tough to grind through. But Crawford found a way to still make Porter's corner feel like they needed to call it. So. Yeah, it was a good battle. But yeah, Crawford was just the better man.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and also Porter, he's a great commentator, ring guy.
He is.
I really enjoy him being on the broadcast of fights. So hopefully, in his retirement, he continues to do that because, I look forward to it. And I gotta give him his props. A lot of boxers when they're on there, I'm like, this guy, he just sounds like an old boxer that got punched in the face too many times. But but Porter actually he gives a lot of good insight and commentary. So
yeah, he does.
I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, I guess from there, kind of covered everything that we figured was relevant this week. We'll be back next week, comment, talk about some more sports, have another debate. If you have a debate topic for us, hit us up on Instagram. We might do a little poll or something, or those question things. I'm not the best on social media stuff, but we'll give you a little chat box. Give us some suggestions. What do you want to hear us debate about? What are some players that you think are overrated or underrated, or somebody that everybody else thinks is so great, but you don't think it's great? We want to hear about it so we can debate about it, talk about it, because that's what we do here. So let us know.
Yeah.
You can do all that at our social medias at AVG Sports Nerds on Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Obviously, get in on the Ricky Williams giveaway, like we said. Miles, got anything else before we get out of here?
No, man. I think we covered everything. Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Definitely. I mean, and hey, if you made it this far, you're a true sports nerd like us in the very best way possible. We appreciate the support. Keep tuning in and keep nerding it up.